Learn all about living in Comala, Mexico from Expat Lucie Canuel in this video interview with expats in Mexico. What was it about Mexico when you first arrived in Puerto Vallarta that made you decide to become an expat and live in Mexico full time?
Well, I arrived on February 4th, 2001, and in Canada and Montreal, it's the height of winter. So
Good reason.
the big factor was the weather. I loved the warmth of the people, how they embraced me. So many people embraced me in their circle, in their social circle, in their families. I felt so grateful for how welcomed I felt, and I just kind of felt like I was at home. I just naturally felt that this was home for me, and I just decided to go with the flow from then on at that point.
Well, after you graduated from the University of Guadalajara with a degree in sociology, did you have any inkling in the back of your mind that at some point in your life you'd be an entrepreneur?
I think that through a series of work experiences, it kind of led me to that. One of the things that that I felt, that it was a big privilege is that all the jobs that I did after graduating always kind of implied travel. And I always knew that I loved traveling and exploring different cultures and whatnot. And the different types of jobs that I did enabled me to do that. And the more I progressed into my career, and it went from working in international education, in languages, when I started working in tourism, it was a consequence of, kind of wanting to share that love of travel and showing people, what was it that I fell in love with, especially in Mexico, and to share kind of that passion and that interest that I had. And so, and also a big factor was to be the owner of my own time and not have to, be submitted under this kind of tight scheduling and whatnot. I love that kind of open freedom of choosing, when, how it was time for me to work. And so with tourism, that kind of worked out perfectly for me.
And what's the name of your company?
So the name of my company is called Mexico Magical Tours. And the reason why I called it like that, Mexico, is because that is the proper pronunciation for Mexico. The Mexicas, who were the people that lived in the center of the country before the Spaniards arrived, would pronounce what we call the X like sh. So they were called Mexicas. So Mexico is the proper pronunciation for Mexico, and magical because Mexico is just so magical.
And what year did you start your business?
I started that in 2004. No, 2014. I'm sorry, 10 years later, 2014.
So you have been doing this for 6 years and obviously quite successfully.
Yes, it's always been a very small business, but I've worked a lot mainly in Western Mexico. There was also a little time in my life where I went to live in the Mayan Riviera. So I got really a good understanding of. I really explored deeply the whole region of the Yucatan and Quintana Roo, and developed some routes over there. But my base is Western Mexico. So because Comala which is where I currently live, right near the capital, the city of Colima, is so close to Guadalajara. So we're talking about about a 2-hour drive, and really close to Manzanillo, the port of Manzanillo. It's very easy for me to move and to commute, to give tours in all of that area.
Who are your clients?
My clients are pretty much 90% expats, a lot of which, many of which are snowbirds. Many are live in the Chapala Jijic region in the south of Guadalajara. But over time, I've had, people from all backgrounds. A lot of the times, there are a lot of expats that live, in Western Mexico, and then they have family that come to visit, and then they contact me, and so I work also with the show the families around and from Europe.
What would be a typical type of tour that you would give expats?
Well, it'll depend on what's the interest of every person. Some people like a more cultural tour. Other people like a little more nature. Some people want a mix of both. So I basically, a lot of the times, what I like to explain to tourists is that, I'm very flexible in terms of what is it that they want to explore. Sometimes they don't really know, so then I have pre-established routes. If you're in Comala and you want to visit, the most active volcano in Mexico, we can do, a visit of the volcano. If you're in Guadalajara, we could do, cultural tours downtown, finding kind of, the kind of hidden gems of each place. That's what I like to show. Also staying within the kind of the places that many people are actually curious to explore, which, like the historical parts and surrounding towns as well, like Tequila and whatnot. And really it all, I've given, hiking tours right outside of Guadalajara to a waterfall, and they're like, what, there's a waterfall right outside Guadalajara? Yes, there's a waterfall outside Guadalajara. So it really depends on each person.
How easy was it to set up your business?
It was easy in the sense that you first start off kind of like informally. And then little by little you start realizing that people are actually interested in what you have to offer, and then from then on it kind of everything flowed and worked out well for me, because then that's when I went to the Ministry of Tourism, and they were offering a course to certify tour guides right at that moment, and I'm like, perfect, sign me up. And I got my certification. So now I'm a federal tour guide in Mexico. I could basically work as a tour guide anywhere in Mexico, and licensed to work in French, English, and Spanish. And then from then on, set up your website and whatnot. And
did you have to go through a laborious process to get your work permit and your business actually established with the federal government?
No, not really, because with the work permit that I already had from the past. And the thing is with immigration, what you do is you just kind of change your status once you get that permit. The problem, the challenge is getting the permit, like that first permit initially. Once you have it, then you can just change the status. And in terms of registering my business, not so much, because once you're a certified tour guide, then that's when you kind of go in and sign up for your business and whatnot. So now you can find me in the Ministry of Tourism in the state of Colima as, one of the official businesses that offer tours.
Do you hold Mexican citizenship or permanent resident?
So for the longest time, I had permanent residency, and then I decided to become a citizen. So I always say in Spanish, I am orgullosamente mexicana. I'm proud Mexican. I have dual citizenship right now. That was about 3 years ago, and one of the reasons why I said that I wanted my citizenship, because really once you're a permanent resident, you don't need to renew and go through all the bureaucratic process anymore, was that and this is where I link back in the sociology part, is I started doing a lot of community work and I strongly believe in, defending rights of people and doing different things and being involved in my community. So a lot of the times they say, if you're a foreigner, you shouldn't get involved in, these type of activities and whatnot. So I said, well, I want to be Mexican so that I can work in the fronts with everyone and fight for people's rights.
And how long have you lived in Comala?
In Comala, I've been here for 5 years now.
And why did you choose to go there?
Well, after being so many years in Guadalajara, I felt the calling of nature. I just loved being exposed to nature and just being, switch the street noise, the city noise to, roosters and horses walking by in front, and just the calmness of a small town. I really enjoyed, which was kind of what made me decide to move. The fact that I'm so close to Guadalajara also was also like a big plus. The proximity and the commuting is really easy. It's an easy drive.
So it's a town of about 12,000 people. How close are you to the capital, Colima, and also Manzanillo?
So I'm a 10-minute drive from the capital, so very easy access to pretty much everything that's needed there. And to Manzanillo, about an hour and 15-minute drive.
Are there many expats that live in that area?
Yes, there are. In Manzanillo and further up north along the coast of Jalisco, or from where you are further down south, in around Barra de Navidad and Melaque, there's a big community around there.
Tell us a little bit about what your life is like there day to day.
Very calm, very nice, very calm. A lot of the times when I'm not giving tours, I try to stay involved in the community. So we plan and organize different types of activities, a lot, in many of the cases for children or for the elder. Right now, due to this, the contingency and whatnot, we've been collecting donations and distributing food donations to over 30 families that have been affected economically by the situation. And so we're working and organizing and always trying to keep busy.
What are the 3 things that you absolutely love about living in Comala?
What I like is just a very laid back lifestyle. I love the weather. I love the heat. After freezing my buns in Canada, I always said to myself, I am never going to complain about heat again. So
I'm with you.
And I love how people engage with one another, even, when you're on the streets and you're walking by and you're saying hello to complete strangers. And that's just normal. I love that I can arrive and talk to anyone. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. And so for me to have that kind of warmth, that human interaction, is key. And that's what I enjoy the most.
Anything that you'd like to add that we haven't covered?
Well, one of the things that over the years I've been developing is one of the things that I've noticed a lot when I give tours to the different expats is a lot of the times they're very curious in terms of like their lifestyle and how to integrate better. And that's one of the things that I have developed over the last 5 years is an integration program for expats who are interested in learning how to integrate a little more culturally. So I know there are a lot of services out there, of settling in and real estate agents and insurance and whatnot. But what I've been offering to many people over the last couple of years have been kind of tips on how to live here and how to get a better understanding of how things work in order for people to integrate. Because I think one of the main concerns of expats is how could I integrate into society, into culture. A lot of people feel very comfortable, being in the expat kind of niche where you're interacting with a bunch of other expats and whatnot. But many people have expressed the concern to wanting to integrate within the Mexican community as well. And a lot of the times they're not too sure how to go about it, especially when you recently arrive in a country where you don't have any bearings of any sorts, or So what I have developed over time is basically a little program where if you are in the same region where I am, which is Western Mexico, Guadalajara, Colima, Manzanillo, I basically combine a time where I do a bit of presentations of, okay, welcome to Mexico. Here's the general data. These are the politics. This is the population. This is the climate, whatnot. Here are the cultural codes that you need to be aware of. And then the second part of the day consists in visiting, learning how to take maybe public transportation, going into markets and learning about food, how to order foods, and then also integrating a cooking class. So I've developed that here in the state of Colima and in Guadalajara. And I'm looking at now, with the whole, this whole situation, current world situation, of developing this same program just online and making it a little more generic so that anyone who decides to settle pretty much anywhere in Mexico can take this short-term program.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's your number one tip?
My number one tip: learn to speak the language as you arrive.
Well, Lucie, it's been a delight chatting with you today. I really appreciate hearing all about Comala and your business.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Robert. Thank you for taking the time also to ask me a few questions and have a chat. It was lovely.